I'd like to now shift over to a few questions that our Sports Online MVT community sent through to us. And these are questions that they wanted to ask you personally. I'll start off with this one from Monique. Monique simply asks you, what are some of the key lessons that you've learned as an international player that you are now using as a coach?
I think what I learned as a player is that you need clarity and you need simple tasks. If a coach asks you to be in a defensive role at one position and in attacking role in a completely different position, and then the coach does not understand that you cannot be in two positions at one time. And when you win the ball, that happens in the one moment. So to give an example of how to keep things clear and simple. So what I learned as a player is that players are helped by creating a frame, a clear frame, but giving them the space within that frame to express themselves and to not restrict them in that. And of course, in the game, you need agreements in teamwork, but in the execution of the tasks, to give all the freedom and all the responsibility to players, because then you get the best out of players. And I think that that is what I learned from my career and I brought into coaching. Another aspect that I brought was that I found that nobody took care of, for example, the reasons why there were so many ACLs in the game, ruptures. And the cruciate ligament injuries are so common in the women's game and were so common in the game. So in '98, when I started coaching, I immediately was searching for help, was searching for projects to stop that. I managed that, but nobody took care of it. I was the only one. And that came from playing, because I saw players going into the gym, hanging on weights, going on the pitch, rupturing their ACL. So I thought that combination of going in the gym, rupturing ACLs, isolated strength training ACLs, strength training out of football ACLs, that triggered my brains to work from that. And I developed a way, I also did it with 𝗙𝗹𝗋𝗶𝗹, to get those injuries out of the game. In 𝗙𝗹𝗋𝗶𝗹, there were a few ACLs. That came more of the background of nutrition, of not knowing about the load of them because they were afraid to tell me the load that they were doing, or that I had to play a player longer than planned because of another player who couldn't make it because she was injured, things like that. And slowly in that whole project, when we got everything sorted, we used Herbalife for the nutrition to get the metabolism in balance with the players. The injuries disappeared, and at the Olympics, playing games with only 2 days rest in between, having to travel, having troubles to find the food in the village, to travel in groups, to not having food on our journey before the game against Brazil, and no injuries. That was something that really made me aware that we need to do something. I've carried it over to the Netherlands, to Scotland, to Russia, now in Ireland, and I decided that I have to write a book about that, because nobody has ever put that into one project. So I'm busy with that, but I have no time to finish it. That needs to be finished. Yeah, but those are the two key things that I brought from my playing career to my coaching. It's a very good question, by the way. Thank you, Monique, for that.
Beautiful. Thank you, Monique, for that question. I'd like to move on to this question. This one comes from 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗹𝗶. Now, 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗹𝗶 takes you back to 1995 in Portugal with the Algarve Cup that you played there. Why was this tournament so special to you, he asks?
First of all, it was our first international tournament that we could play. And because the elite kept the lesser teams out. And there was a moment that there was a team dropping out and we immediately jumped into it. Can we please? So the coach did a very good job. I went into it we went into it and we played the very best, the likes of Sweden, Norway, Germany, Iceland. Back then they were one of the key countries, and it was so special to get that feeling, to go from game to game to game, and feeling that if you have a tournament and 3 games in a row, it was 4 games in a row if I remember well, that you really grow as a team, even because it's tiring, but as a team you can only grow by having these activities. So that's why it was so important for me.
Beautiful. This one comes through from 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗹, and 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗹 simply talks about the... All good.
I'm asthmatic, and when I talk a lot, I'm there again. When I talk a lot, that comes up. Sorry.
No problem, no problem. We'll just edit that out. Don't stress about that.
Yeah, please start off.
No problem, no problem.
Yeah.
Are you right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All good, all good. This question comes through from 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗹, and 𝗙ecie𝗹𝗹 simply talks about the theme break the bias. What do you take from the theme break the bias, and what does it mean to you specifically?
It's maybe the slogan of my career because of the choices that I made, the way that I deal with things, also the slot that I accept that it's coming from it. Everybody has been seeing on Twitter what people say about me, which is absolutely nonsense, and the opposite is the case. The case is that they put on Twitter is actually the other way around, that I was standing up for others being abused or standing up against even intimidation, against somebody who had to be knocked out of the club because he approached girls in an inappropriate way. So even if it's the cost of myself, I stand up to indeed break those things that everybody think they are normal, but they are not normal. And I think that I see them immediately because I grew up as a boy. So I have from the inside, my second nature is that I see, hey, you don't do this if she was a he, or if I was a man, or you would have never said that, you would have never done that, you would have never accepted that, you would have never been treated, or you would never have treated me like that. Yeah, and that is, by times is it difficult, but breaking the bias, I think, is the key assignment for all in leadership positions, men and women, and that we all have to be aware of those unconscious moments that it's coming into our lives and into our system, and that systematic part we need to fight. That's my opinion. And within that, having a lot of joy and a lot of fun, working with each other, growing with each other, and creating opportunities and breaking that barrier of the thought that somebody's not capable of. Because everybody can do more than they actually think themselves that they can do.